Welcome to the Cruise Retreat Podcast. Hi, I'm Rita Perez, and I'm a travel advisor specializing in, you guessed it, cruise ship retreats. This podcast is for service-based entrepreneurs and corporate decision makers to learn more about staying everyone's favorite company with a cruise ship retreat. Ready to increase your client or employee retention? Listen in on this week's show. Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. So glad that you are here this week. I have another super short episode for you this week, and I wanted to do something a little bit different because, I always talk about corporate retreats at sea and how those are really great to increase the retention, the bonding, the engagement within your employees, but I haven't really been talking too much about increasing that relationship with your clients with a business retreat at sea. And so I am talking to people who specifically are in the business to teach or aid other people in some journey of life, whether entrepreneurship, spiritual growth, fitness, pretty much if you are trying to teach your audience something and that's how you grow your business, this is who I'm talking to. And really, that's probably going to be a coach of some sort. Now, I am sure that you have been wanting to put some sort of event together for your following. And the one thing I would say that probably holds you back is money, finances, resources, because I know that you want to give it your all and you want to have an awesome experience for your people, but how can you do it, especially during COVID times? And how can you do it that is still feasible to you as a business owner? Because you, of course, want to be making sure that this is a resourceful event for you, but you want to make sure that it's also a really great experience for the people that you bring on board. And no, we're not cruising yet, but like I've said many times before, this is the perfect time to start planning your business retreat for either 2022 or 2023. And so what are some of the benefits of doing your retreat at sea instead of doing it at a hotel conference room, which is the big qualm that I always get? So first off, it is just so much more cost effective because there are so many inclusions. And I think this is what you as the business owner really need to know about, because instead of having to shell out money for the conference center and then for the AV and then for the food and beverage, those like high ticket expenses, which is what you would normally have on site, and normally you would have to put deposits down even before you would get registration fees. You don't have to do that. And that is the beauty of the cruise ship retreat, is that so many of those expenses are already incorporated into the cruise fare that everyone is paying. Really, you as the business owner just need to show up and deliver content. There might be a couple different little expenses here and there that you will need to make sure that you budget accordingly, but it is nothing compared to what you're going to have to shell out if you're doing a similar event on land. So that is my favorite takeaway. And this is why, one of the reasons that I started this podcast is because events on cruise ships, I think, are kind of like a hidden secret, and I wanted to illuminate that to so many entrepreneurs, because I know for many of us, money is a big thing that hinders us because we don't know what's possible. But what if I told you that there was a way to have your event and you don't need to spend that much money up front? And that's what I'm telling you a cruise event is for. Second of all, you want your people out at sea with you to get the creative juices flowing. And even if you were to have an event on land, they're still somewhat connected to either their day-to-day life or, physically connected by phone. And taking them away on a trip gets them out of that day-to-day life. It gets them out of their normal routine, do something different. And sometimes it's really what it takes for us is that we need something out of the norm to take us out of the routine to be like, it kind of like flickers that switch within us. Like I'm imagining like you're literally clicking the switch to get into another room and be like, oh, I never noticed that before. Because you've just been running. And that's what your clients are doing also. They're just running. And by taking them on a cruise, you're physically taking them out of that running. They get to relax a little bit, but then they also have that backdrop of the beautiful blue ocean. It's one of the most amazing natural backdrops that Mother Earth is able to give us. So why don't you take advantage of that and like listen to the buildup of the waves billowing across the ship. There's just so many beautiful pleasures that you can have at sea that open the doors to creativity. And not only that, but open the doors to new relationships that can help spur the creativity, which is my final point for having your business retreat at sea, is so that you can create these lasting relationships and bonds with other people, whether it be other entrepreneurs or it'll be just other people like-minded in whatever community that you've brought on board with you. Maybe their new idea kind of spurs a different idea on somebody else. It's kind of like that one spark that kind of like lights all the matches, like the domino falling on one and then it keeps going and going and going. Everyone just needs that one spark of creativity from another person, and maybe they bounce off ideas, and maybe they able to find a way where they can collaborate with each other. I mean, it is just so, can you imagine all the ideas? I'm even thinking maybe if this is a writer's mastermind, the type of community that you're able to create, not only they can go ahead and isolate themselves in their balcony cabin and get some writing done, but they're able to work with a like-minded group to kind of either build on their characters or build on the story in a setting that really is unlike any other. And this is why I love talking about cruises and cruise retreats, because it is just that one spark. You just never know where you're going to get it. Is it from the people watching on the promenade? Is it because you've seen whales jumping off the side of the ship? Is it because you've heard the steel drum bands in port? There's just so much that is available on a cruise retreat that can spark inspiration or a sudden change, or an active conversation that inspires change. So what I would like to offer you is I'm going to have small business owners come on to the Cruise Retreat podcast, and we're going to do a little masterminding of our own on this podcast. If you are an entrepreneur, please reach out to me, because I would love to have you come on and let's talk about the possibilities of a potential business retreat for your business. It'll help increase your revenue. It'll help increase your know, like, trust. And these ideas that got spurred off your retreat, that business owner or that community leader or whoever you've brought is always going to remember, yeah, it was on Rita's retreat that I had this brilliant idea. How stinking amazing is that? I almost did a cursey word, but how stinking amazing is that? So I want you to come onto the podcast because I want to brainstorm. We're going to do like an active live brainstorming session, about 20-30 minutes, so that we can talk through the ideas that you have. And maybe we find that cruise retreat, maybe you're not ready for, maybe it's not what's in the cards for you just yet, or maybe it is. And so I'd like to talk through that with you. So if you're interested in coming on and let's do like a mini mastermind on here, please shoot me an email so that we can get started on that fun topic. And if you are not interested in coming, but you still want to have a brainstorming session with me just privately, please go ahead and schedule yourself on my calendar. Alrighty, that is all that I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed this wonderful and different episode, and that you, business owner, have gotten a couple ideas of, maybe that business retreat at Sea Idea really is what I should be focusing on in the next year or two. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Thank you for joining me on the Cruise Retreat podcast. Please subscribe and leave the show a rating on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to take a look at the show notes for important information and links. See you next week.